Hey guys, Long Haul Larry, Big Blue. We are rolling along. We are loaded up. And we're making our way. Not very speedy, but we're making our way. I'm actually pretty heavy, and it's going to be a slow crawl. I'm running 64 West. And going to be going up, what is that, West Virginia Turnpike and all that. And then I'll be cutting up into the bottom of Ohio, and if I can get up into Ohio tonight, that'd be good. That'd be good. I'm pretty tired, actually, and thinking that get up in Ohio, I can shut it down, give me a full night of sleep, and then I'll take off tomorrow and ride it the rest of the way and everything. That'd be good. Not even trying to pass the Snyder because I got a hill coming up here. I'm heavy. So, what is going on? It is January 9th, 2019, and we are heading for Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. But I got some pretty cool news. I just hit 12,000 subscribers. People sent me in the comments and stuff like that I've hit it, and I went and checked it out, and sure enough I did. It's pretty exciting, actually. To think about it, I actually started this channel up January 2018. It was a couple weeks from now, but January 2018, and it's January 2019. So I've gotten 12,000 subscribers in 12 months. That's pretty awesome. I don't really keep track of all the numbers anymore and stuff. I used to do all that and try to keep track, and this video is getting more views. I should do more like that and all this. It drives me nuts. John does all that. He's constantly talking to me about views and all this stuff, and John, I don't even pay attention to it. I just put the videos out. They do good. That's all I can say, guys. I can't sit here and sit there and evaluate every one and try to break it down by numbers and stuff. But it's pretty crazy. I did go in and look at the views when I was getting loaded, and look how many views I've had. It's just amazing. It's crazy. Yeah, I got 12,000 people that have taken the time out of their life to click on that subscribe button. Just don't forget the bell. Forget the bell, then you won't get that ding when I put out a new video. So, you know what we need to do? Amazon $50 gift card. Nowhere related with hitting 12,000 subscribers. I have to say that. And this will be my second one with this week. There you go. I'll do 2 every week. Not saying it's related to hitting that 1,000 mark, but hey, could be. I don't know. But I'll hit it. I'll do it. Whatever. The more you guys share my videos and all that stuff, the more subscribers I get, the faster it grows. More gift cards come out. Are you kind of catching on to what I'm doing there? So leave a comment on down below, and we'll give out a Amazon $50 gift card. I do have to say, I've always been worried about that and getting scammed. Somebody would try to, would quick go in there and make up a fake email address, somehow with the guy's name, whoever won, and then send it to me and stuff, saying, I'm the winner, send me the money. That's why I have it where you gotta verify it and put a comment in there and stuff so I can see the YouTube name so it matches. I thought I kind of had that covered, but I almost got scammed this last time. Luckily enough, the actual winner contacted me real fast, and he verified it with the comment and everything, and I was about ready to pay him out, and then all of a sudden I got another email, and I was like, I'm looking at it, and it's the guy's name, and he's like, hey, cool, I'm the winner and stuff, hey, you can send my gift card to this email address. And I was like, is this the same guy, but he wants me to send it to a different email? And so I contacted the first guy. I'm like, did you just send me an email from a different email address or something? And he's like, no. And so I asked the guy, I says, you know what? I got an idea. I don't mean to make you jump through hoops, but go back in your winning comment, which said, Happy New Year's, Larry, and take one of the R's, because he's the only one that can edit that. And I said, take one of the R's out of Larry. And he said, no problem. And a couple minutes later, he said, it's all done. And I went back and looked at it. Sure enough, one of the R's was missing. He's the only one that can change that. So I was like, all right. So I sent the guy his $50 gift card. And then the other guy that sent me the email, I said, oh, okay, I need to verify who you are. Say this comment in a future video. And I gave him something to say. And I sat there and he said it was done. And I went and looked at it. Sure enough, he did it. But the thing is, if I wouldn't have already had the winner and all this stuff, I wouldn't have caught it. But he changed one letter in the guy's last name. He made up a different YouTube account that way. I couldn't believe that. And so I just sent him a, stop scamming me and all this stuff. And then later on, I had another email from another person. Could have been the same guy, who knows, with the guy's name in it and a different email address, saying, hey, I won, this is great. And I'm like, are you serious? And so I told him, I says, oh, okay, we just need to verify it. Go back in the original comment that you won and put 3 R's in my name. And the guy was like, oh, what do you want me to do? Build a nuclear bomb too? I was just like, and I said, well, if it is truly you, it will take you about 10 seconds. And he's like, well, next you want me to go to France and take you a picture of the Eiffel Tower or something? I said, whatever. I was done with it. But, I mean, I couldn't believe that. 2 people on that one. I've never gotten scammed yet, but 2 people today. And both of them, I just really say, shame on you. I mean, seriously. All the time you spent going in, making up a fake email, and then the one guy making up a fake YouTube name that's very similar, maybe you should take that time and be more productive and go out and find yourself a job instead of sitting around on a computer and trying to scam people out of $50. It might be a good idea. So, it's quite interesting. But there you go. Put a comment down below and we will do a $50 gift card drawing. Well, probably let's end it on Friday because I'll be home on Friday. And we'll end it on Friday. So Friday I'll do a drawing. So there you go. I've had a few people, I've actually had a lot of people asking me the same comment with all these videos of we're moving to Trad, doing all that work and stuff. I've had a lot of people sending me comments. Where did you go to school to be a mechanic? Where were you trained at? Blah, 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 and all that stuff. I thought I would answer that. Let's see if I can get by this Schneider now. I think I got enough room here. I started very young. Very, very young. I'm talking 4 or 5 years old, young. And I used to like, my parents would actually have to like hide tools from me because I would tear things apart just to see how they worked. I think at first they thought I was like little Mr. Destruction, but I was actually trying to figure out how something would work, a radio or whatever. I mean, I would take doors apart, the hinges, just to see how things work. And I used to do all that. And then when I got to be about 9, 10 years old, my father was in a very bad car accident. I think I've told this story already, but if I haven't, I'm not going to tell it now, but if you want to hear it, leave me some comments and I'll tell the story. But basically, real fast, my dad broke his neck and he was paralyzed. And he was in hospitals and clinics for quite a while, and we had a working farm going on. And all the brothers one was older. He lived, a different place, and he came back, and everybody else was in school, and we all came in together, and we all ran the farm. We had, cows that we were milking. We had pigs, and, like 300 some acres of farmland, and we all kind of worked the place to keep it going and keep it operational while this was all going on. And I was kind of more of the feeding the cows, the milking, feeding the pigs and stuff, because I was the youngest one, the smallest. But I was also the mechanical one in the family. And my dad was in the Army, and he was a welder in the Army. And so he would do all the welding around the farm, and growing up, I would be with my dad, and he'd be welding, and I would watch him. And when he wasn't looking, I would grab the welder and weld stuff and build all kinds of weird stuff. So I kind of knew how to weld when I was very young. And I would make some stuff and goofy stuff and everything else. It was crazy. But my dad, he was gone, and he was in clinics and everything. And we would go and work and stuff, and my older brothers, they would do all like the field work, running the big machinery and everything. But then anytime something broke, they would come back and they would go in the house and get something to eat, or go in the house and go to sleep. And then I would go out there and fix the stuff, fix plowshares, or fix tires or whatever. I would fix stuff. That was my job. Got a little confusion here. And this guy's gonna go out there now. And so I grew up doing that, and my dad did get better. If you guys want to hear that story, I'll tell it to you. It was quite the miracle, actually. But then I got a little older, and there was like a group of us farm kids that lived all around there, and we would all hang out with each other, and we kind of had a little gang going on, and we kind of got into mini bikes, and all the kids would go out and they'd buy mini bikes. Well, my parents, I don't even think I asked them, but my parents were very tight with their money. I never knew this growing up and stuff, but they were pretty well off. They did well, and they did okay with their with their finance stuff. They were very tight with this stuff. But growing up, I wouldn't think they were like that. It was always, if you wanted something, you had to work for it or build it. And so I went out in the shop, and I grabbed a bunch of tubing and all kinds of things, and I welded it all up, and I made my own frame for a mini bike, and had an old motor laying around there, and I put the motor in it, and I took a seat off of a bicycle. It was an old banana seat with a little chrome part on the back of it. Mounted that on there, and I put the handlebars off a bike. It was almost like a chopper, and I made this thing up. The only thing I needed was the tires. The front tire, I put a wheelbarrow tire on it, but I needed a back tire with a sprocket that would drive with the chain, and I needed a clutch. So my dad took me down to this place called Dave's Small Engine, and took me down there, and and I talked to the guy, and I said, I'm building a mini bike. I need a rear tire that has a sprocket on for a chain. I need some chain, and I need a clutch, to fit on this size shaft and everything. Talked to him, and the clutch he had, and I bought it brand new, and I think it was like $10 or something at the time. And the back tire, he's like, yeah, just going upstairs. He goes, there's all kinds of different tires up there and stuff. You can pick something up. And so I went up there, and I started digging through all the tires that had sprockets on it, and I found this one. And it was a tractor tire. It had tractor tread on it. And I have no idea what this thing came off of, but it had a sprocket on for chain. And it was very big sprocket. And I brought it down, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. The guy's like, yeah, I don't think you want that one. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, yeah, your gearing might be way off. He goes, there's actual mini bike back tires up there. And I'm like, but this one's cool. And he was like, whatever. My dad was like, whatever, you'll figure it out. And so I went and made this thing, and this thing was the coolest mini bike you ever seen. Everybody else had these store-bought things that you'd buy, you know, and mine was like a chopper-looking thing with this big banana seat and had a big old tractor tire in the back. And we used to have so much fun with this thing. We would take this thing, and a couple of my buddies would pick it up and hold it up in the air, and then I'd rev it way up, get that back tire just spinning like crazy, and then they would drop it and in the gravel, and that thing would just dig a hole. It was quite the thing. But the thing about it is everybody else's mini bikes did like 30, 35 miles an hour. Mine didn't have quite the power to take off, but it still took off okay. But it had good top end. And my mini bike would do about 65 miles an hour. I would be flying all around that place. I used to run that thing all over the place, all to the neighbors' houses, and running up and down the roads and stuff, just flying. But it was pretty cool. But then I ended up graduating from high school, and I had decided I wanted to go into auto body. And so I went to a tech school out of high school and started taking an auto body class or whatever. And I did it for about 6 months because it's that these guys gonna pass me and then I'm gonna pass them back. And I did this for about 6 months. And the whole time I was doing this, I was actually working as a welder too. And I was working as a welder, and I was making like $23 an hour right out of high school. And so I was doing that and going to school, and it was getting to be a little too much. And the workshop part of the auto body thing I loved, but the classroom part, I was like, you know, I just did high school. I really don't feel like sitting in more classrooms. So I ended up dropping out of it. And I kind of did a few different jobs and stuff, and I have torn apart many, many things. I've torn apart many engines, transmissions in cars, and I've torn apart lots of different things, and guess what? They've not ran. I've torn apart trying to fix them, just trying to figure out how they work, but I really didn't know anything about them, and I wrecked things. That's how I learned. I tore things apart, figured it out. Sometimes I wrecked them, sometimes they worked. And then I started working at a trucking company. It was Schwinn Trucking. And I started working there, and I got into an accident with a semi. And I went into the windshield, and I hit my head and my shoulder at the same time, and I got what was called a stinger. You may have seen football players, they get it and come off and they're holding their arm and stuff, and then they'll say they got a stinger. After they get checked over, they'll say they have a stinger. Basically what it is you have a really blunt, sharp, accident that happens, and the nerves just go, and they just stop. They just shut off, and you can't feel your arm, and it's really weird. But it comes back in a couple weeks. It just kind of goes away. After everything kind of swelling goes down and everything starts to repair itself, then all of a sudden the nerves come back and then you can feel things again. So I had this, and this happened, and I after the accident I went to the hospital, got checked out. They said this is going to be probably 2 to 3 weeks. And so I went back to work, and I gave him the slip, and he's like, so my boss is like, so you're going to go on work comp? And I'm like, I don't want to. And I says, I'll do whatever. I don't care. I got one arm. I said, but I don't think I could drive. I don't think I could, hold my hand on there, while I'm shifting and stuff. And he goes, well, I tell you what, he goes, I have, I'm doing parts inventory, and I got a new computer system. He goes, you just walk around the clipboard, write down how many parts they are, where they're located, and enter this in the computer. He goes, if you can help me out with that, it'd be great. No problem, I'll do that. So I started doing this, and I had they had a mechanic in the shop, and this guy was a putz. He was so bad. The guy was drunk half the time, but he was in there and stuff, and I would be in the shop, and I'd be sitting there, and he'd be working on something, and he'd be struggling and getting all upset, and I'd be sitting there watching him, and I'd be like, what is this guy doing? And I'd walk over there and look at it, and I mean, just for an existent, just kind of give an example, he'd be putting together like a hub, like a wheel hub, and he's putting his bearings in there, and then he put a bearing in backwards. He put the race in backwards and everything, and it's like he couldn't get it together, and I'm like, yeah, that piece goes in first, and all this stuff. Or he put a seal in backwards, and I'll be like, no, that's backwards. The guy was terrible. And so I think he thought that I had been a mechanic or something, and so he started like asking me for help and stuff, and saying, come over, can you help me with this, do what you can. I'm like, sure. So I go over there and help him what I could and stuff, and he would kind of ask me questions about things, and I'm like, I'm not the mechanic here. But he would do this, and the boss caught me doing this, and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm being real careful, it's using one hand. I said, he asked for some help. Well, him and this guy used to get in fights all the time, and he would actually get fired, and then the next day he'd just come back to work. And finally one day, I was there for like a couple weeks, and then one day us and the boss and him got into a big fight, and the boss just said, you know what, I'm done. He goes, get your toolbox out of my shop. He says, we are done. Ooh, that's windy. And he goes, don't ever come back here again. I don't want to hear from you, and I want to see you. You're done. And he turned around and he pointed at me and he says, Larry's my new mechanic. He goes, I'm done with you. And I was like, huh? And the guy left, and my boss came to me and he goes, you want to be the mechanic? And I'm like, I really don't know too much about these trucks. And he goes, you know how to fix stuff. He goes, you grew up on the farm, you know what you're doing. He goes, if you got any questions, he goes, just ask me. And I'm like, okay. And so I started doing that, and he taught me a lot, because, I mean, he's rebuilt these old Mack trucks. He knows them in and out. I mean, he knows these things. So if I had any kind of questions, he would come over, and he would help me, show me how to put something, a steering box together, or whatever. He would show this to me, and then once he did it, I was good. I could do it myself. I've always been that way. I see it once, then I can do it. So I got a lot of training that way. And then what really, really helped me a lot in engine work and transmission work is there was a guy, and I can't say his name, can't say where he worked and stuff, but this guy was a top-notch mechanic. I have never met another mechanic that as skilled as this guy. This guy was so good. It was unbelievable. But he would actually work. He worked in a shop, and he was the top guy in their shop and everything. But then my boss would pay him cash, and he would come in at night once in a while and work at our place, and he would rebuild engines that were blown up or whatever. And the guy was kind of complaining and stuff that he was not getting enough time at home. He was spending too much time there, and then he's got his full-time job and everything. And then my boss came up with, he said, well, I'll tell you what, he says, I'll have Larry tear down the engines, so when you get here, you're ready to just put them back together. He was like, okay. So he had me do that. I tore down an engine, had it all laid out, ready for him and everything. The guy came in, and I was going to be leaving, and he goes, do you want to learn how to do this? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. He goes, I'm going to teach you how to do this. He goes, so I don't have to come back here. And I was like, okay. And I stayed there and I worked, and he taught me how to rebuild a motor. And we put this motor all together, and the next day I came in, and all I had to do was just hook up the final stuff and bolt everything on to the outside of the engine, and I did all that and got it running. And the boss was like, wow, that was fast. He goes, we're going to do that from now on. And I didn't tell him anything that I helped that other night. And the next time that he needed a motor rebuilt, he called him up and he said, hey, one day can you come in? I'm going to have Larry tear down a motor and you can come in and rebuild it. And he was like, I've trained Larry. He goes, see if Larry can handle doing it. He goes, if he has any questions, you know, give him my cell phone number and he can call me. Otherwise, if he has a problem, I'll come in. And the boss looked at me and he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of worked with him one night. He taught me how to do this. He's like, do it. So I rebuilt an engine and it worked. It worked real good. So I kind of took that over and I started rebuilding all the engines there. And then I started doing transmission work too and just started picking that up. This guy was a really good mechanic and he was a really good teacher and he taught me a lot about mechanical, about trucks and how they operate and what makes them operate and everything. He was really good. And I don't think, I don't know. I've told him many a times. I told him how appreciative I was for all the training he gave me and stuff, but that was pretty cool to have that. So, the only problem is now is these newer trucks got all this computer stuff on it. I have no skill with that stuff and the sensors and how to test the sensors to see it. I'm not that stuff. Old school mechanical stuff, I can make it work. The new stuff, it's not my cup of tea. I've actually thought about going up to Fox Valley Tech School and doing that. I think it's a year or maybe 2-year course that they have for truck mechanic. I've actually thought about doing that, going up there and getting the skills to be able to do all the computer work and all that stuff. But I just don't see my life going in the direction of working in a shop and everything. I kind of have different plans for my life, so there you go. So that's how I got my skills. Just basically growing up on a farm and just doing on-the-job training. And I had an awesome teacher. The guy was cool. So there you go. So I'm going to let you guys go. It's starting to get a little dark out here. Rolling out through these hills on 64. Got ourselves 79 miles. Till it says till I hit 77. And in Charleston. I don't know. But we're coming through Hot Springs right now. So I'll catch you guys later. I hope that everyone out there is having themselves a great day, a great night when you're watching this here video. If you are not, certainly can change it all around and try it all over again tomorrow. I'll catch you guys later. See ya.